Welcome back to another cracking crypto creation here. We just wanted to go over a few things, talk about the Ethereum Classic and CLO airdrop, go over Bitcoin private, and what was it? We wanted to talk about USD value or BTC valuation, kind of like what you should look at your portfolio in terms of. But yeah, trying to bring some cool information here for you tonight. Probably touch a little bit on news as well. You know, crypto's crazy. News is always flying by, so there was a lot going on the last week or so since we did one of these. So it's going to be real fun. Jay, is there anything you wanted to start off with? Got my man JY's Free here. JY's Free on Steemit.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Scott. Hey,
was it just Wise on the Twitter?
So that's free on the Twitter. JY's Free on the Steemit. Thank you so lot, bro. Hey guys, hope you're doing well tonight wherever you are. We got a lot of questions in the chat and in the DMs, so I just wanted to kind of touch on some stuff. The first thing I want to talk about, what everyone's kind of talking about, but I'm going to touch on it in a different light, is Ethereum Classic. So everybody is talking about the airdrop. Everybody's really excited about the hard fork. I'm going to talk about a little bit about that for a second, try to elucidate that. The links to everything that I'm going to be talking about are in the show notes down below, so please go check that out. As always, we try our best to bring you the best information available to us, but always do your own research, especially if these are tokens or platforms that you're preparing to trade or invest in. So with that being said, let me hit the screen share button and we can, okay, cool. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, nope, not that. Here we go. This is from the ethereumclassic.org forum site. This is basically their CLO network information. And although I'm not going to butcher it by attempting to explain the totality of what the Callisto network token is going to try to do, the CLO token that is going to be airdropped on all Ethereum Classic holders. So if you're holding your Ethereum Classic on a private wallet, probably Classic Ether wallet is that's where I'm holding my Ethereum Classic, and that's the one that I've seen supported, as well as Classic Meta. You can find all those links in the show notes down below.
I think Meta's like an extension or something like that, like a Chrome extension you install, I believe.
Yeah, MetaMask. Yeah, I got my MetaMask right here, and then there's Classic Meta right here.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
They're Chrome extensions that you can plug in and use. In fact, you have to have MetaMask to play around with CryptoKitties. Or there's just a lot of stuff that it's a useful app, and I like that it was developed open source and it's cool. So if you basically just go to this website if you have any questions about the CLO token. The main cool thing, I guess, if you're into proof of stake, which I'm not so supportive of, even though I think it's a nice concept, in reality I don't think it's going to work based on human psychology. But having said that, the main takeaway that I took from this is that they want to implement an incentive for people to hold their tokens and to stake more. So especially those with smaller holdings of Ethereum Classic. So they're going to implement this concept of cold staking. Again, Ethereum Classic is something that I like as a project, as a program, and especially from a monetary standpoint when I get into my next point about Ethereum Classic. But I field a lot of questions about the CLO airdrop. I will say that this CLO token, the airdrop, it's not a hard fork. So this is the GitHub for the Ethereum Commonwealth. And what the CLO token actually appears to be is this project, which is the Ethereum project on GitHub, revived. And it's the Go Callista implementation for the Ethereum protocol. So this protocol revived, and because the thing is that the developers for the Callisto airdrop are not part of the same development team that the real Ethereum Classic guys are. That's not, they are, but they aren't. That's not to say that some of them aren't involved in, like they aren't on the GitHub for the Ethereum project. So they are legitimate Ethereum developers. But the Ethereum Classic project is not creating this airdrop. This is, if you want to look at it, it's kind of like a clever ICO revived and airdropped on people without actually you know, an ICO, without any money coming in. So at the end of the day, you're still going to get your CLO tokens. You don't have to pay anything for them if you hold your Ethereum Classic in a compatible wallet. I know that there have been rumors about Bittrex supporting the Ethereum Classic CLO token sale, but I don't, or not token sale, pardon me, but token drop. But I highly doubt it. Bittrex is notorious for not doing token drops. They had to pull teeth just to get them to drop Ignis on their NXT holders. So I will be holding my Ethereum Classic mask or Classic wallet. Again, links to those in the show notes down below. So what I really wanted to talk about was the Ethereum Classic price and the big news on the streets. And I want to give a shout out to Money Triggs on Twitter for kind of turning me onto this. I had heard these rumors and whispers, but he was the first one that put them all together when I heard him earlier on the Adam Meister show. So shout out to Adam Meister. But the Ethereum Classic Summit was an annual summit where the Ethereum Classic developers and promoters and dick riders all get together every year and talk about, you know, Ethereum Classic and what's in the development, how they're going to do things. And Jihan Wu was in attendance this year. Jihan Wu, the owner of Bitmain, the largest ASIC mining company in the world. So he attended the Ethereum Classic, Summit. And this coming on the heels of, well, it's been known for a while that Vitalik Buterin wants to switch over Ethereum to proof of stake instead of proof of work. So Casper is coming in. We know that it is coming. And the scuttlebutt on the streets has been that all the mining power is going to switch over to Ethereum Classic. And now that Jihan Wu just released information that, you know, this is coming off the Ether mining Reddit, where I'm going to link the bitcointalk.org website where they were talking about this. And this, I had all these links pulled up, but this is linking 8BTC News, which is linking Tech News, which is a Chinese website, which you can translate. And again, those links will be in the description down below. But this is saying that Bitmain is to release the Ethereum ASIC miner F3 in Q2 or Q3 2018. And as most of you, well, I guess that link is not now working at this point in time. I just had it saved and it was working just a second ago. But as many of you know, Ethereum was designed with a kind of poison the well approach to ASIC miners. It was designed specifically to kind of throw off ASIC miners. And I just want to shout out something that some people, that Charlie Lee said about ASIC miners. I'm going to check that link, guys, but I'll make sure I post the right one down in the comment section down below. Or excuse me, in the show notes down below. But something that Charlie Lee said is that when you're dealing with any token that's valuable, ASICs are inevitable. So maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. But you know, the Bitmain is the rumor is that Bitmain is going to be offering Ethereum ASIC miners. Jihan Wu attending the Ethereum Cloud Summit. Jeff Garzik, who I'm not going to say, you know, anything about who people are or who they are. Obviously, he's a very intelligent man. But many people accuse Jeff Garzik of being Jihan Wu's sock puppet after the New York agreement, after it all fell through. And Metronome, which was built by Block Labs, which is Jeff Garzik's company, is, if you scroll down here to their roadmap, is now Q1 2018, their first cross-chain launch is going to be on Ethereum Classic. So Jeff Garzik, huge part of the New York agreement, Bitcoin, Segwit 2x developer. And as I said, many people with J2, their first cross-chain launch is going to be on Ethereum Classic, Ethereum Classic. So that's very telling. Let's see.
That's interesting.
So all together, you know, the idea that you know, they're selling the miner, you know, that they've now got ASIC miners for Ethereum. which by extension means Ethereum Classic. Jian Wu attending the Ethereum Classic meetup. Jeff Garza launching his ICO on Ethereum Classic. All this, and then obviously, you know, Ethereum switching to proof of stake instead of proof of work. I mean, a lot of people had thought that what would happen is that there we go. A lot of people thought that what would happen is that Ethereum would have another hard fork, and that there would be an Ethereum 3 or an Ethereum proof of work when Ethereum split into proof of stake. But you know, the idea of doing that is very complicated when you could just switch over to Ethereum Classic. The big thing that's up in the air right now is what are all these ICOs that have been built on top of the Ethereum platform going to do? Are they going to switch over to Ethereum Classic? Some of them are alive when the split occurred after the DAO hack, but you know, all the ICOs that have currently built their platform on Ethereum, are they going to remain on Ethereum? Are they going to want to switch over to Ethereum Classic if the price of Ethereum goes down, the price of Ethereum Classic goes up due to the mining power switching over? I don't know. We'll wait and see. But at the moment, I'm still long on both Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. Ethereum obviously has some competitors coming up to it in the smart contracts platform area, such as EOS and Cardano and Tezos. But as long as Ethereum is the dominant platform for ICOs being built upon it, you know, expect the price to continue to go up. And if the mining power switches over to Ethereum Classic, expect Ethereum Classic to break receipt. You know, and we saw this. I do want to give a buyer beware when you're buying airdrops or chasing airdrops. You know, we saw this with the NXT airdrop for Ignis, and we've seen this with so many other tokens. We're seeing it with Z Classic for the Bitcoin private fork, which I'll talk about here in a second. But when people if you're holding on to a token or a coin for the long term anyways, well, then get your dividend and suffer the correction and just move forward because you're holding for the long term. But if you're trying to trade, if you're making a trade based on the idea that I'm going to buy this and hold for the snapshot and then sell it, unless you're really, really fast, the odds are is that you're going to lose your shirt because most people don't even wait for the snapshot, because we saw with NXT, it sold off before the snapshot. We're seeing it with Z Classic and Ethereum Classic. They're selling off before the snapshot. You know, traders just wanted to ride that rise up and then sell off large bulks. Now we'll see if Ethereum Classic and Z Classic pump a second wave. I think that Ethereum Classic might, and I think that Z Classic probably definitely will. In fact, Z Classic still sitting at just right a little bit down from all-time highs, especially if you look at the daily chart. The scale is quite small. Pardon me.
There's been some really good price action on Ethereum Classic, though, that's for sure. Yeah, Ethereum Classic definitely hitting. Let me check here. I'm pretty sure higher. Let's see here. Yeah.
Or excuse me. Near. Okay, no, we're not back up to all-time highs yet. But we have made quite a substantial move up, especially on the pitchfork that I do. This is interesting. Yeah, we've come back up over 100% from the bottom of the correction. Well, actually, the bottom of the correction for Ethereum Classic, which double bottomed off about that 0013 mark back in November through December. So that's pretty cool, and we're right back in the pitchfork. Moving toward the media there. Yeah, drawn back in November. Sorry, guys, I'm a little tired. Okay, next order of business is be private. Oh, speaking of which, a date for the Ethereum Classic airdrop. I think it was March 5th. March 5th. Cool. So if you guys are hodling your Ethereum Classic, hodl onto that Ethereum Classic. I'm gonna, I have, nice position size in Ethereum Classic, one that I'm happy with, and I'm happy to see where that goes for the year 2018. Oh
yeah, so it's at block 5,042, or no, yeah. 5,421, 792, and it's at 5,500,000 is the is like the snapshot block. So that should be roughly March 5th.
Mm-hmm. Now that can go a little faster or a little slower because
depending on like money.
So we'll just hold on to that. Now, be private is all you know, I hear a lot of people want to talk about, and I actually quite like Be Private. I've been critical of Bitcoin Cash, Bcash, because it is not a friendly fork. It is disruptive to the. I mean, it's cool. It's going to do what it's going to do. Yeah, it's contentious for. I just don't like the business practices that they've done. You know, obviously, I respect what Roger Vere's done for Bitcoin in his role as, you know, Bitcoin Jesus back when he was playing that role, and a lot of the stuff that he did to promote blockchain and Bitcoin.
Who is that? You kind of glitched.
Roger Ver.
Yeah, Roger Ver, right? Yeah, I don't know about that guy.
And he, see, because I've listened to him speak, and he's obviously eloquent and intelligent, but he's also a really good salesman. So I don't know if he is the Jihan Wu hand up his ass sock puppet that everybody claims him to be, or, you know, vice versa, however those two lay in bed together, or whether they even are, or whether he truly believes in his, what he quotes to be his, you know, kind of Austrian school of economics thought that something has to be a currency, something has to be traded for it to be a store of value. Whereas I think a lot of the Bitcoin people who are not in the Bitcoin Cash are saying that, no, we're store of value, and you don't have to be a currency to be a store of value, because there have been many stores of value that haven't been readily tradable currencies. So, you know, and then you get him talking, and he makes, you can go see the, I can't think of the name, they reviewed him, Adam something, where he rage quit. That's kind of famous on the internet, the interview. But he, you know, I watched that interview and heard him talk about, you know, how, you know, he went to prison and saw everything be readily traded as you know, currencies in prison, envelopes and ramen noodle soups and whatnot, and that, you know, they wouldn't be stores of value if they couldn't be traded. And he's making that argument about Bitcoin, which was the whole thing behind the scaling, and that's why we needed to release up to 8 megabit blocks, because the transaction fees were just unusable at the time, which is why he decided to fork Bitcoin. But with the adoption of SegWit up to, I think, 22% now, and the implementation of the Lightning Network, we're now seeing transaction fees significantly lower. So just a while ago, they were like $30 a transaction fee. Now we're back down under $3. You know, 1 Satoshi per byte transactions are being confirmed on the block, or have been confirmed on the block recently. So I think all that was a whole lot to do about nothing. But, you know, good marketing. And you never know. You know, if Bitcoin Cash does its thing, that's cool. It's a nice little crypto dividend. We'll take that, you know, and convert it into more Bitcoin. We're cool with that. So anyways, but Be Private, February 28th, guys. We've talked about this before, but, you know, if you're holding Z Classic or Bitcoin, you're going to get some Bitcoin Private. Now, you know,
you got to hold some hard wallets, just like everyone. What's the good one for Z Classic?
A lot of the ZK Snarks wallets that you can get. Let me find.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what a good one was on that guy. Bitcoin, you know, like what Armory would, you know, a hard wallet.
Yeah, Armory, any paper wallet, anywhere Bitcoin Core, anywhere where you have your private keys.
Yeah, anywhere with a private key. Bitcoin's a pretty obvious one. But what's a good one for frickin' Z Classic?
Looking it up on their website right now. I don't have any Z Classic. I chasing this fork for Z Classic, although I understand
I haven't tested this one out either.
I understand the financial incentive to do so. Yeah, if you go to well, I want to make sure this is their official website. According to, I mean, you go to Google and type in Z Classic, zclassic.org, and it links to their GitHub. So, and it's got the Z Classic ticker, but there's a couple of wallets on here. Electrum, yeah, I know a lot of people were using
Electrum. Will work. Okay.
Yeah, Electrum. And Helios, and they got a paper wallet printer right here. So,
yeah. So check those out. That's where you want to keep that Z Classic if you're trying to use that one.
Now I know that there have been rumors about Bittrex supporting the fork. I don't think that's going to happen. As I said earlier, Bittrex is quite notorious, and I don't believe that Z Classic is on Binance. In fact, I'm almost.
And then, man, yeah, I'm probably gonna open up that
No, Z Classic is not on Binance. It is mostly traded on Bittrex. That's right. So, guys, I'm not chasing the Z Classic fork, but again, if you would recommend, you know, and you can already see that people kind of already did this. If you were to trade this up and assume that a second wave was going to occur, I would definitely sell that top and take your profits. It's possible that you already missed the train. However, we are at all-time highs Z Classic, and in traditional markets, when you are at all-time highs, you're generally going higher. How crypto generally reach all-time highs on hype, the next place you're going is down. So, you know, you can see kind of around the end of December, you know, this Classic just pumped and pumped and pumped, and I think a lot of that was in anticipation of the private fork. However, the other way you can look, and I'm not even sharing my screen.
Oh, Z Classic just fell off.
Let's see here. So anyways, looking at the Z Classic chart here real quick, you know, you can see that, you know, Z Classic would kind of trundle down as a lot of things did toward the end of December, and then just exploded and boom, 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 boom. And that could have just been the market recovering, as a lot of tokens did that in January. And then you consider this little spike right here to be the Z Classic private hype, or excuse me, the Bitcoin private hype. So, you know, taken into, you know, its context, that's a nice little, you know, almost 70, 60% rise. You know, and if you think you could do another 70, 60% from here, then, you know, initiate that trade. I don't think it will. I think it's probably at the top and probably dumping, but you never know. Be Private is pretty popular. Now, having that said about Z Classic, I will come over here and look at Be Private's website. And I do like the Be Private team. I've listened to some podcasts where they've had some of their developers on lately. I've done a little bit of my due diligence. And their team is genuinely decentralized, like Bitcoin. They're coming together. They're trying to do this airdrop right. They're not, you know, trying to do things the way that like Bitcoin Cash. You know, this is the first Bitcoin fork since Bitcoin Gold that I have liked. And we've had a lot of dumb forks in between Bitcoin Gold and Bitcoin Private. And I like that they're utilizing the Z Classic, you know, kind of anonymous system. I'm not going to get into the tech of talking about exactly how they're anonymous or how they're going to make addresses or wallets anonymous. You guys can, you know, come in here and read the white paper and have all that stuff. But if you're looking to trade this, I don't recommend chase. If you're holding Z Classic for the long term, even though Z Classic is, I'm almost sure is going to go into the graveyard after this, because it says right on, I don't know if it says it right here on our website, but yeah, what will happen with Z Classic? Z Classic and its wallets will still exist. Yay! Z Classic nodes will be supported post-fork. However, as mentioned in the past, there will be no current active development for Z Classic, as the current dev team will shift to focus 100% on Bitcoin Private. So, Z Classic will probably go the way of the dinosaur, but what's interesting about a lot of these crypto tokens is that they don't actually die. They just kind of trundle down here until they're trading for like a few hundred or however many Satoshis, and then they live this weird zombie existence. What I think it is I think some whales just got it kicking around in their wallet, and maybe some bots automated just trading it back and forth, market makers that don't know how to stop. You know, so it's interesting how these tokens can live kind of zombie existences.
Yeah,
so,
that's wild. Interesting part of the ecosystem.
Definitely. Okay, just a few more things that I want to touch on, and then we'll probably call this video quits. Thing I want to touch on is, well, the last thing crypto related that I want to touch on is project. I don't know if you guys know a little bit. I don't know if you guys know what MimbleWhimble is, or the idea behind MimbleWhimble, but to sum it up, it's funny. The story behind MimbleWhimble, and all MimbleWhimble is it is a protocol that can be implemented on any blockchain. It's blockchain agnostic, I guess, in its implementation, because it's more about it's a mathematical cryptographic protocol.
Ooh, my favorite.
Anonymous, to make a blockchain anonymous. And don't wrap your head too much around this, but the gist of, from what I've read and from talking to some of the guys, they use elliptical curve math to take the UTXO and multiply it by two numbers to get to some kind of sum that is used to verify exactly how much funds have moved from one place without you either having a public or private address. So there's in MimbleWhimble, or excuse me, in Grin, which is this in MimbleWhimble protocol. I'm explaining this horribly. It makes sense in my head, but it's hard to get out without a mathematical background. So they've done away with wallets completely. They're just verifying that if I send you 10, that when they basically, if you're doing double account entry on a ledger, like 10 went in, 10 went out, 10 went out, 10 went in, you know, so that each side balances. And by doing that, they're able to get rid of large sections of the blockchain and bloat. So all they have to do is verify, and then this isn't SPV, this is completely different. All you have to do is verify that all the inputs and outputs add up until the last section of the blockchain, or the most relevant or recent section of the blockchain, and then you can just delete all the other space, all that 200 gigabytes of past blockchain in the case of Bitcoin. Woo! Because you've already verified that all the UTXOs are valid up until now, right this second. So this snapshot of the blockchain that you can use moving forward is valid, and you don't need to have all that back chain bloat. So, you know, Grin is focused on privacy and scalability and implementation of the MimbleWhimble protocol. And the kind of story behind MimbleWhimble is quite fascinating. And I heard the main developer of Grin on a podcast earlier talking about this. And the story behind MimbleWhimble is essentially some account that had never been registered before, that had never posted before, logged on to the Bitcoin developers IRC channel and posted a Tor onion link to a website that explained the MimbleWhimble protocol, and then disappeared and then left, never commented again. Now MimbleWhimble is, well, excuse me, the guy who posted this and the name of the author on the MimbleWhimble project was Thomas Marvello Riddle, which is an anagram from the Harry Potter series. Lord, that's the human name of Lord Voldemort from the Harry Potter series. And MimbleWhimble actually is the name of a spell in the Harry Potter series, which would cause the victim to become tongue-tied. So nobody knows who developed the MimbleWhimble protocol. Nobody knows who that person is. You know, kind of the only clues that we have is that there are a lot. Well, actually, he didn't use Thomas Marvello Riddle. He used the French version of that, the French version that's in the French Harry Potter books, and some of the language in the I guess white, but that's not quite what it is. It's more of a proposal for a mathematical cryptographic formula or a chain implementation that is MimbleWhimble. There are some evidence seems to say that French would have been his native language, but you know, whether that's true or whether that's, you know, misdirection, but yeah, it's a story almost as good as Satoshi Nakamoto. So MimbleWhimble is awesome. Pretty MimbleWhimble is pretty exciting. Grin is the first real, that to my knowledge, blockchain to implement it. Grin is going to be a completely new blockchain. They're not building on top of the Bitcoin blockchain, although they could. MimbleWhimble is something that can be applied. That would probably require a chain split or a hard fork to implement that protocol moving forward. But you know, as the developer was talking about, why don't you just pop this on the Bitcoin? And he's like, well, it takes years, and you can just start off with a brand new, you know, blockchain of your own that you can kind of, you know, implement this stuff, because a lot of this stuff up until now has been theoretical. You know, MimbleWhimble is, from a standpoint, next generation mathematics, and next generation implementation. It was always theoretical, and now it's being implemented for the first time we're going to see if it works. And so I'm going to be participating in the testnet. You guys can go over to grin-tech.org to contribute or fund them or chat with the people on Gitter. They're pretty active on Gitter. Or read their documentation or try to mess around with their testnet. And you can obviously if you want to experiment with their testnet, you're gonna have to compile the source yourself from the source code. If you don't know how to do that, there's guides online, or you might be in a little bit over your head if you don't know how to compile from the source. But having said that, I'm pretty excited about Grin. I like Grin. I think it's gonna be cool. They're not. I don't think this is something that you're going to be able to trade. It's not a token that the only way you can get is by mining. There's no pre-mine. So, I like this. This is kind of next generation stuff. So I'm going to get in there and I'm going to start mining me a little Grin, hopefully on the testnet and play around. So we'll see how that works out.
Apparently it by obscuring all the values, it provides full privacy and gives you a choice of like what to reveal.
Yep.
That's pretty interesting. That's just like built in by its core.
It's pretty sick. All right, let's see here. Let's see. So
the propaganda.
Well, this is a really old, actually, I guess a really, really old thing, but maybe this isn't exactly what I was looking for. So, maybe if I just Google search for this, I don't think any of this is good. Yeah, it's weird because I had heard that Jackie Chan was doing public service announcements for the Chinese government, and I knew that he had made some controversial statements about China in the past, saying that he supports their censorship and things like that. But I'm not finding anything on the interwebs.
Quite the opposite, really.
What is it?
This is quite the opposite. You might not want to type this in. Not safe for work.
Let's see here. Oh yeah, that's a good point, Aaron.
Upward on that one.
Anyways, so I can't find the link, so I'm just gonna go to end this up. I'm just gonna go do one thing that I like, and this is a book that I just finished. I'm gonna link to it down below. But Neil Ferguson, The Square and the Tower, subtitle: Networks and Power from the Freemasons to Facebook. This was a really, really good book. It's funny because they talk about nodes and networks, and obviously it's just the language of social networking, and that's kind of the concept of the book. That you have to look at the way that social networks have grown and impacted mankind to truly understand kind of a historical perspective. And if you look at how things like the printing press spread and news media kind of spread, and kind of one of the concepts of the book is that America right now is really, really equivalent to 16th century Europe because of the advent of the printing press and how that changed life for everybody, and now the advent of internet and social media and how that's changed everybody. But kind of one of the underlying themes of the book is that how social networks shape and move and make us grow, and they also break down how social networks are constructed and how hierarchies are constructed in the different kinds of so you've got the square is kind of the analogy where you have the market square where people are able to interact and form a horizontal social network, and then you have the tower where authority resides, and that's a hierarchical vertical structure, social networking. And he goes through and gives some examples of different networks and how the impacts that they've had on human life. So really good book. Again, it's kind of interesting how it made me think about blockchain. and the tech and how that's impacted my life and how that actually works on in a distributed system. And one of the things that I kind of took away from the book is that the more access that you have to social networking, the more polarized you become as an individual and as a society. And you can kind of see this if you go on Twitter. You know, kind of Twitter is set up for you to be ridiculous if you want to get attention for being political or emotional or in any kind of thing. You know, polarization sells. So it's a sobering read. It's a good read. It's entertaining. And Neil Ferguson is a fantastic historian who writes not in a dry way. He kind of takes from going to dusty old libraries and reading about, you know, chronologies of what happened to, he likes to go read journals and, you know, get the inside scoop of what really went down, you know, and you know, one of his first books where he was talking about well, not books, but one of his first works where he was talking about the breakdown of the Weimar Republic and the hyperinflation of, you know, prior to World War II, was that he would go and read all these, you know, in these libraries about, you know, the Weimar Republic breaking down, but they were all records from the bureaucracy. They didn't want to talk about how the government was breaking down and hyperinflating the money supply. So he had to go into banks and read people's personal journals to get the real story, the real juicy, the real meat of what really happened, you know, and that's what you got to do in the crypto space. That's what you got to do in your own private life. You can't just take what somebody says as gospel. You got to go do your own research. You got to, you know, do your own, you know, form your own conclusions, learn your own stuff. You can't be, you know, walking around and not understanding some of the concepts that you're talking about. If you're going to do anything in life, you know, strive to understand it the best that you can, strive to move forward, strive to improve yourself, and strive to have a purpose and understand why you're doing what you're doing and why you are where you are. That's all I got. Scott, do you got anything else left for those guys?
Yeah. That about wraps it up for me, man. I'll go over news some other time. Just wanted to get that those things out, bring them to your attention. Thank you so very much for tuning in
Thanks,
to another
guys.
cracking crypto production. Be sure to like, thumbs up, send it, share it, subscribe, hit the bell, get notifications for the next time. All that good jazz. Make sure to check Justin out on Steemit. That was JWise free on Steemit, right?
JWise free on Steemit, Justin Wise free on the Twitter, and follow Scott.
Crypto, cracking underscore crypto on the Twitter, and then cracking crypto on Facebook as well. So thank you so very much, and we'll see you again. Have a good one.